Hello, everybody out there in are we on? Now we're on. Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. I am Mixlum. He is the Miles Revolution, and we are two freaks doing a show live with you every Thursday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock for all you way out there in the East Coast over by the Atlantic Ocean. We are your favorite show, bringing you everything from AGT. And Miles, we have done it. We have made it through the entire season, not only watching, but podcasting 2023 AGT. We've now seen the whole thing. We've got through the finale. Whew. We did it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was a real chore at times.
Yeah, some of the acts we had to sit through.
This last episode may be the biggest chore of all.
Well, the last episode, yeah. You only needed to watch 15 minutes. Instead of the 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched Wednesday, and then what, was okay, but it was like, well, this is kind of just rehashing what was on Tuesday. And then I sat down at 7 o'clock, when it started our time. On Thursday, it's like, they're doing the same stuff again.
They're replaying it all again. It wasn't even a recap. It was like I started, and Terry says right at the beginning of the show, the Wednesday show, in 59 minutes, we're going to get this finale going. But first, we're going to re-show every single act in its entirety.
Right.
I'm like, okay. I'm not
But the exception of one that they cut a part out.
Did that? Yeah, I didn't even watch that part. I couldn't do it. I was like, what is it?
I have a clip from it, which can show later that they cut out.
Okay, because usually for this show, I'll watch everything, but I'm like, it was on my DVR, and I'm fast forwarding. I'm like, there's no way for me to sit through this. So
Yeah.
Full disclosure, is why I got my tea here. I've been sick this week. I've been pretty sick, so my throat. I'm all still stuffy in my nose, so drinking tea is keeping me from being stuffy and being able to talk on here. So it's one of the sacrifices that I make for all you out there.
You are such a sacrificer.
Yeah, I'll sit
You're
here.
The man.
I'll sit here and fight through it just so that we can talk about the amazing hurricane and the rest of the crew.
Hey, I have good news. Chuck just said yes, of course. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So I don't know if I guess I'll say who Chuck is. Chuck Dukas.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let everybody else know who Chuck is.
Yeah. So I've been to AGT, the filming and live and stuff. And Chuck Dukas, he's like the audience motivator, the guy that gets everybody to cheer and to clap, and contests as to what side of the room can clap louder or cheer louder than another, and that kind of stuff. So he's actually a really, really nice guy, really motivational. So, but he just said he would be on our podcast, so that's cool. We'll schedule that.
Yeah, and just as a side note, the Miles Revolution and we're going to keep on going with this show, even on the off season. At least for a while, we'll see how this goes, and if we still have an audience, if you guys are hanging with us, we'll try to talk to more contestants who have been on the show. This guy like Chuck, who gets the audience pumped up. Anything else you'd like to see? Any other conversations you'd like us to have? We're going to be open to any kind of positive feedback you guys have for us, or any suggestions, recommendations. So we're going to still try to be here on Thursdays.
Right.
McGavin, I'm just reading his YouTube comment. I made some comments about Hurricane and also Ahren. I want to save that really quick until we kind of get to their specific performances, and then we can hit on those, because I want to say something about both of those.
Me too. I'm so excited.
All right. Well, Well, first off, I do have our predictions from last week. Not what we wanted to happen, but what we thought would happen.
Right.
These were our top 5. So my top 5, my winner was Putri. And then Lavender, I predicted would be runner-up. Then Murmuration, Chibi Unity, and then the Airborne. I was wrong. Miles thought Putri would win. Lavender would run up. And then Ahren would be third. Then Murmuration, 82nd Airborne. You were also wrong.
Yeah, I was really wrong.
Yeah, we can't even talk about our predictions. They were so wrong.
But I changed. I did vote, and I didn't vote my prediction. So I will cover.
I had a couple. I had a couple changes on this too, actually. So let's go ahead and go through these.
Yeah. Well, I would just like to say, if I could have been at the show, I think this would have been a really good show to be at. Because I think some of the acts are really good. All right. Well, I guess we start out with Adrian. Whoops, I left a T out of his name. Stoica. Who, in case you weren't watching the show, did win. And I'm going to break this to you. You don't want to hear this. I know you really don't. But I voted for him to win.
What? You voted for this?
I did.
Wow.
Actually, I voted for 2 acts. I voted for this one and Avantgardey. And so to me, it's no surprise that this act won. I thought it was.
So I'm going to go back to McGavin's YouTube comment, the first half here. Said, I called Adrian and Hurricane as a dark horse winner after their semi-final performance. Miles, answer me this.
Yeah.
What was it about this act that, I mean, okay, here's where, let me just start out this way. When we were making our predictions last week,
right,
we skipped a few. The Youth Choir and Hurricane, some other ones we go, these ones aren't even anywhere near who we think should be in top 5 or will. We even put it aside. We didn't even talk about it. What did this act do so differently than the other 2 performances that it was a winning $1 million all of a sudden?
Well, I am not a dog lover. And I told my wife, I says, you know what? I really enjoyed watching this act, but I don't like to be around dogs, and I don't necessarily like dogs to be around me. But I just thought it was really entertaining. And they were creative with, what the dog was doing. I mean, it didn't do necessarily a whole bunch of fancy tricks or anything, but I thought it was just a great show and something to watch. I mean, things that you traditionally don't watch a dog do. Plus, this guy wasn't giving the dog treats to perform a trick every time he wanted the dog to do something. Unlike other acts where they had to, nudge him along or give him a signal or something. At least it didn't appear that way. So
no, I will agree with that. I mean, it's an impressive dog act. I just don't think it compares to anything else. Like I said, I don't think it should have been in the finals, period. But is it an impressive dog act? Sure. Again, I'm not hating on it. It's good and it's impressive. And I will even say this was the best of all the performances. And one of the judges said this. I'm not sure which one, but it might have been Howie. And I totally agreed with this. And you hit on it too. Most of the dog acts, they seemed like you're doing a dog act. This seemed like Hurricane was an actor. Maybe it was Simon that said Hurricane could be in a movie. Because, Hurricane seemed like he was acting. He would get up and push or get something, shake his head. I didn't feel like I was watching a dog trainer with a dog. I felt like I was watching Adrian do an act with Sofia, and the dog was just kind of like acting within the scene. And I love the set. So I was much more impressed from this performance than I was with the other 2. With that said, wasn't in my top 5 for the night.
It wasn't in mine. But
it had to be but it had to be in your top 5 favorites at least for you to.
Well, after I saw the act,
after you saw it. Yeah, it wasn't even in my top 5 after I saw the show. It still wasn't in my top 5.
What can I say?
So who's voting for that? So
I don't know.
Actually voted for him. McGavin looks like voted for him. Sam says Adrian and Hurricane are the best dog acts since Olay Dogs. In my opinion, I may say they're even better. I haven't been impressed by a lot of dog acts, so Sam liked them. Idaho peoples, I like them. So maybe I'm in the minority here. I was blown away when Hurricane was in the top 5. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
I couldn't believe it either.
I was like, this is Airborne Redux somehow. And then when there was the final 2, I was like, might as well let them win. I don't know what's going on with this show anymore. Crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy, but that's what happened. So
you're telling me Hurricane and Adrian can win this show and the puppets can't even make the finale?
That's exactly it.
That's crazy. All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, the next finale, Mzansi Youth Choir. There we go. Good job with the choir, but once again, it was a choir. I'm not really into choirs. I don't really care what the choir is. I still have never particularly been in choirs, and I'm a musician and I like to sing. And but for me, choirs, just as a whole, it seems like every time I sing in a choir, I'm the guy that can read all the music, and then everybody follows me and wants to sit by me. And I don't mean to brag that way. I mean, I think it's just a God-given talent. But the choirs just aren't for me. It doesn't rattle my chain. I mean, I sing in them, but
yeah, this just doesn't beat my drum either. I mean, same as always. It sounds fine. It is what it is. I was a little surprised that they put him in the dreaded second spot. I think it was McGavin who pointed out to us last week that nobody's gone through in the second spot. And so I was, after he told us that last week in the chat, I was like, I wonder who's going to be in the second spot this week. And it was them. I was like, well, that's probably it for them. They weren't top 5. I was surprised. But yeah, I don't have anything much to say about them.
Me neither.
Other than I hated, if we're going to get to the finale show itself, the results show, I hated the performance they did then. I wasn't even sure what was going on because they were singing with, I think, Jason Drulio. Is that the one he was? I don't know if you know any of these people anyway, but.
Yeah, I know him.
Okay. Yeah. Was he the one that performed with them? I can't remember.
No.
Okay. Somebody else.
No, is that, what's the guy's name? I would have rather have heard the choir sing than him sing.
Yeah, the guy was horrible. I'm like, I just remember watching him like, I would have buzzed this if this was a tryout.
Yeah.
This was horrible. And I don't think any of them were singing. I think it was like, it was all like pre-recorded. They were all lip syncing. There was too many effects on the voice.
Yeah. And it seemed like while they were performing, some of the people's mouths weren't moving, even though there was vocal stuff.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the youth choir became kind of like a background dancing team. Yeah. And I was like, what's happening here? Like, that was a whole like mess.
That's the way the boy groups do it now. I mean, which is too bad. You know, I think if you really want to impress me, do your moves and do your show when you're really singing, not doing it to a click track, because that's
especially at a talent show.
Yeah, especially.
Like, this isn't the Grammy Awards where we expect it. This is somewhere where people are actually doing it.
Right. So a talent show, you should be required to do the singing if you're going to sing.
So Sam over in the chat says that it's John Batiste. Is that how you say his name? Batiste?
Oh.
Was the guy that performed.
Yeah, I think he's a Christian gospel singer.
I don't know him. McGavin said, I have a question for Miles. Yes. If he's surprised that the social media numbers for Adrian and Hurricane didn't increase dramatically yet, they still won.
Yeah. Well, I since we started the show, I thought I would track the followers of the acts because that seems like everybody else always tracks the views. And I just kind of want to see what the results would be. But I think to help me decide, for a future season, that perhaps looking at the views might be more informative. But I had to do the same thing through the entire season so that the numbers actually meant something. So
you couldn't switch up the way you were doing it.
Yeah. So as far as his follower increase goes, it's kind of odd that they didn't really increase that much, but I bet the views did. So, but that's an act that I'd want to see live anyway. So,
yeah, I'd say I'd watch it. I just don't think it should win.
Yeah.
We had a few people that were definitely deserving.
Yep.
All right.
Avantgardey. On to my favorite, if you want to call them a dance group. Me personally, this is my favorite group that has been on at least this season. I love watching them. And they stay in character the whole time. So I was hoping they would win or at least be in the top 5, but they weren't even in the top 5. So
yeah, I think the chat was telling us last week when we are making our predictions, and we both got swayed by them, that they wouldn't make top 5 because they were a wild card and they barely even got in the first place. Right. And they were right. They didn't make the top 5 this time. They should have. They were personally of my favorites. They were number 2 for me last night.
Yeah.
Really good. And this wasn't even my favorite performance of theirs. But I still really loved it. And all the same things as always. They always stay in character. They're great fun. This is one of the best dance things we've ever seen on the show ever. I love it. And I really don't understand why the audience is so like poo-poo on them. Like why? Yeah, I don't know why. Like it just seemed like they would have such a huge following, and for whatever reason, they don't.
Well, they have somewhat of a huge following. I mean, I would like 450,000 followers. That'd be cool.
I mean, an AGT follow like it's just the judges. I mean, and the crowd just doesn't give the response for them they do for some of these others.
Right. And that I don't get. I would think they're deserving of more. So,
but yeah, they should have went through.
Yeah.
And I really liked the song choice that they danced to too.
Oh yeah.
I thought there were a lot of good stuff about this. And they always have excellent outfits, excellent performance. Everything's good about them.
Yeah. So. They've got a real good management team behind them. So, Lavender. Oops, man, I must have been in a hurry typing up these names. Please forgive me. So, social media, as far as her followers goes, obviously, she doesn't really have someone, doing the work for her like Putri does. Getting her up on social media. And so, you can't really use social media as a judge there. So she is solely dependent on the views, I believe. But once again, this is part of the good exercise of tracking the followers. So.
Now this one, I'm still surprised by this. I had to put a cough drop in my mouth. For those of you, if you didn't tune in right at the beginning, I haven't felt good this week, so my throat's getting really dry, so that's why you see me drinking tea and whatnot, so I can keep talking. I haven't talked this much this week.
Be hoarse.
Lavender surprised me because this was actually my favorite performance she's had.
It was a really good performance.
I'm not a huge fan of hers, but this was the best. I really liked it. Good song choice. I didn't think it was good enough for my personal top 5. I didn't put it there, but I was still pretty convinced she was going to be top 5.
Yep, so was I.
Because I was like, I'm already not a huge fan of her, but even she somewhat won me over with this performance. So for her not to make the top 5, I was pretty surprised. I don't know where her fan base went. I don't know who her votes went to.
Me neither. But once again, as I said in the beginning, I would have loved to be at this particular show because I thought it was good, really good, as far as all the acts go. So, but she does have a fan base somehow. And my guess is that that AGT will still use her and have her perform other places, and so she is by no means a dead act. So. Yeah. And that's good. I mean, I'm glad for that. So I don't have anything else on her.
Okay,
do you?
Go on.
All right. Chibi Unity. For me, I did not like the. I don't think this performance was as good as some of the previous ones. And maybe it's just me, but it seemed a little bit old hat. And when they're walking on their backs or whatever, it's like, well, I saw you do that before. So it wasn't that hot of a performance. It was still really good, but I don't think it was as good as the previous one.
Yeah. As I've said, I'm a big fan of theirs. And I've said, for me, was the only golden buzzer I thought was worthy, given their first performances. This was good. I liked it. Wasn't their best, but I think, like you said, I think it was just kind of the same.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was their best. I mean, maybe it was just the same. Because I didn't just like it or anything. It was just more of okay. There was no
Howie. Howie got kind of dogged on because he says he didn't think it was special. So he was the only one that wasn't like the other 3 judges there. So
yeah, so it wasn't in my personal top 5.
Yep.
I didn't rank it there.
Yeah, me either. So tough beans. But I'm sure they'll still show up in events someplace around the world with AGT. All right. I really hate to dog or to I don't want to sound mean or derogatory of this group. What I will say, at least in the beginning, that I think the soloists were better than their previous performance. Until one particular solo later in the song, and it's like, and let me preface it before I say anything, is that all people who do music or any type of performers or anything, even race car drivers, lots of them will crash and burn. And if you crash and burn, that just means you lost. And the difference between the good drivers and bad ones are the ones who, after they crashed their car and got hurt or burnt, they get back in another car and do it again. And so the person in this particular group who later had her little solo and botched it big time, I mean, that happens to everybody, but this is a competition. And if those things happen, that means you lose. And that's just the way it is. So, I'm grateful for the work that the U.S. Army does in our country, but this group still didn't do it for me.
I'll say this was better than the goofy song they did last week.
Yeah.
If you watched last week, I mean, yeah, the solo was a mess, and them marching around and the oohs and the hoo-haws or whatever the heck they were doing that song just seemed cliche and funny. I was literally laughing while I was watching my TV saying, what's going on? This was just back to whatever. I don't know how these people are in the finals. I just got a bad feeling somehow they're going to be in the final five. Thankfully, they were not in the top five.
That was relief to me.
Finally, somehow we can finally
move on
them out of here. Sam said, I can't believe they got all 4 standing ovations and no criticism, especially after one of the soloists flubbed a note. Yeah, it was like, Sam, I agree. It was like these people were like immune to criticism.
Right. Like, because they're military.
Yeah. It's like they put on a uniform, literally. They put on a uniform and they're like, I am uncriticizable. No matter what we do, no matter how goofy we look, no matter how many notes we mess up, no matter what song we sing, none of the judges can say this was terrible.
Right.
And the crowd's they not only clap, they give it a standing ovation. Like every single time. It's wild.
Well, I don't know, but and that was I have the clip that they cut out. I mean, do I dare play it while people call me a hater?
Yeah, well, yeah, play it. Let's see.
Okay, well, here it comes.
Yeah, because I don't think I've seen it because I fast forwarded that episode.
Be the one to light the way.
I'm sorry. And they cut that part out on the day 2 where they were showing the stuff.
That was that during the live show?
Yes.
Or the audition? That was during the they cut it out during the live show?
Yeah, on Tuesday. On Tuesday they had it on the show, but when they were showing the clips on Wednesday and Thursday, they cut that
out. They cut that part out when they replayed it.
Yes. So and once again, everybody makes mistakes, and vocalists included. They forget words. They screw up a line. They sing out of tune, whatever. It just happens. And so I don't want to be ragging on the soloists who made the mistake. But, it's a competition. And when you mess up, and if you're in ballroom dancing and you're on TV and you screw up, well, you know what? You screwed up. You're not going to win. And that's just the way it is. Just like the 3 Gs when they fell. They shouldn't have gone forward because they messed up. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Sam. Well, Miles, if you think you're harsh, Sam says in the chat there, that note was possibly the worst note in AGT live show history. Yeah. In the chat, Idaho there says, LOL, that scream. Yeah, so I think people agree with us. But Greater America does not. So
my wife says, I wonder if she was listening to Lion King and practicing with them, the she just got the wrong thing in her head who she was with. So, well, anyway, I forgive me if I sound like I'm making fun of you if you're watching this show, but it's something to talk about. And, if I did that, I hope that I would be the person who would say, you know what, I really screwed that one up. And I hope that people would let me get past it. So it's kind of like Will Smith doing the slap thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, glad they didn't win in the top 5. Anna DeGuzman, the cutie who ended up being runner-up, number 2. And, I thought that was pretty deserving. So I was actually okay either way if she won or Hurricane won. It didn't matter to me which one won because both of them were deserving, in my opinion. So, and her trick, the way she did it with I thought that was a really good trick what she did. So what else? Move on. What do you got?
Anna is that reading online and looking at all the reactions to Anna is a lot of people think she's a little amateur magician. She's not the best at magic and doesn't deserve to win and all these things. And I'm going to go back to something I kind of said before about some of these other people. To me, being a magician is a little different than being a singer. And some of these other things is you don't have to be the best for me to like you. You don't have to be the best for me to think you can go through. Magic is about entertainment. And so, like I said about Mandy, who got cut, was she the best magician? No, but she was funny. And I liked watching her. And I feel like Anna's not the best magician. Her tricks are really cool. But I don't know. But she's really fun. She's somebody I'll watch.
Yep.
And she's somebody I have faith that will put on a good show. And she has a great personality. Same thing with our friend of the show, Kylan, the kid magician, who didn't even get through to the live show. Or he did get through the live shows, but he didn't make it to the finales. Maybe not the best magician in the world yet, but he has a great personality. I want to watch him. When I'm looking at magicians, I'm seeing if they're entertaining me. Singers, I want someone to be a really good singer and entertain me. Dancing, right. I want you to be an expert dancer and entertain me. But some of these other things, like danger acts and magicians and stuff, I just want to be cool. I don't care about the best. I don't care how technically good you are. I just want to be entertained. And to me, Anna is entertaining.
She is. And she's got a really good following too. So I cannot imagine her not being one of those people who show up someday in Las Vegas and has her own show. Because she's young and she can only get better and grow her audience. So
she was my number 3 of the week. So she was my 3rd favorite of the night.
Okay. Well, I could probably guess who your number 1 favorite was.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't him. We haven't got to him yet. But he was still good. Ahren was. It's amazing that somebody with just a phone can put on such a good show. I mean, they've had people who've had electronic devices and other AGT seasons who, do whatever the comedy stuff they do. But he's the only one who can really pull it off. And so he's pretty awesome.
So I'm not sure. Well, first off, I want to go back up to, I said I would get back to this in the YouTube chat.
All right.
McGavin's comment here. I felt really bad for Ahren when the voice didn't work. He would have made top 5 without that. So I was a little confused of what was going on. Yeah. So at the beginning when he said, sorry, I got a text, I thought it was a joke too, but then, Howie's like, oh, it's not a joke. Was his phone just not working at the beginning I'm not sure what was going on. But he seemed not like himself this performance. I didn't like the performance. And again, I'm a huge fan of his, and I didn't really laugh. He seemed like, I don't know, he just seemed off. He didn't have the expression. He usually has the big smile and laughing at his own jokes. And
Really?
Cat and the dog. And again, then even at the end of the performance, when they're like, vote for Ahren, he didn't seem that excited about it. He seemed disappointed. He didn't seem his own energetic self. And I didn't notice until this performance how much of him is actually in it. I thought it was just the phone and there's just funny jokes from a phone. But no, this, when it showed that he was kind of thrown off, his body language plays a lot into his comedy. And he seemed off. He seemed frustrated. And maybe it was my imagination, but he almost seemed on like the verge of tears, like at the end of that thing. Like he was not comfortable up there. At least that's what I saw.
Well, I don't think I got that impression.
Okay.
However, it seemed as if there was some disappointment on his face when it came to the actual results, that he was probably kind of surprised. So now, I don't know, McGavin says his jokes were also out of order on his backup phone, and he really had to improvise the entire thing.
Yeah, because he said he didn't get a test. The auto actually didn't work on his first phone, and he switched to his backup phone. Yeah, because he was up there. That's what I was confused, too, if it was part of his act. Because he was up there, and it took him like 30 seconds or so to start, and you saw him messing with his phone. So, yeah, I was like, what's happening here? And then, yeah, he just didn't flow at all for me. But you didn't notice. But he wasn't even in my top 5 of the night. And I predicted for my favorites, I thought he would probably be in like the top 3, at least for who I would like the most. And I just didn't think this was very good. Like I said, maybe it's like McGavin said, his jokes were out of order and he couldn't have his test run and these things. And yeah, he just didn't have the body language with it. And I just felt bad. I felt bad about it.
I appreciated the act. So I don't know. I wasn't feeling bad about it.
Was it top 5 for the night for you?
I have to think about that one by looking at my notes here. I think I was waffling on whether that was a top 5 or not.
Okay.
Because in the end, when I voted, I only decided to vote for 2 people. I didn't want to give, points or numbers to everybody else. I thought, well, these are the people that I want to win, so that's who I'm going to vote for.
Well, from the sounds of it, you could have put a lot of people in the top 5.
It
sounds like you liked a lot of them. Yeah, my top 5 were pretty much cut and dry.
Oh, mine weren't. So,
I mean, I didn't have any bad acts, but there was a line for me.
Okay. Well, I erased my line. But nevertheless, he did relatively well. This is the one that surprised me that she didn't make it as far as I thought she would, because back in the beginning, when she first did her first audition in front of the judges, the first thing out of my mouth was she won the show. But she didn't. However, she is all over the place as far as performing goes. So, she already has a career. So this is once again one of those people who I almost wonder why she was on this show, other than it was just one particular stop on her career journey, I would say. She'll have a career. She'll be another Stevie Wonder or whatever else, and she's young enough to exploit. So she's going places.
Well, yeah, Simon said that she can be a star. Well, she kind of already is.
Yeah.
I mean, not the hugest pop star in the world, but she's pretty big now.
Yeah.
This I thought was really good. And again, I'm not big on singers on the show, but I really, really like this. But my favorite performance of her, going back to the actual results show, I loved her on the results show singing. What did she sing? "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me." That was really good.
Well, she is really good, and I
with Leona Lewis. Yeah, and they sang that song. That was really good. I was like, yeah.
Actually, my thought was she's better than Leona Lewis.
Yeah, no, she's definitely better.
She was the better performer in that duet.
Yeah.
So
she was actually my number 5 for the night.
Oh, okay.
In real life, she got 4th place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was really good. Most people online, I think, were like us. We both picked her as the winner. Most things I saw online were picking her as the winner. Most people were going as far as to say it's fixed for her to win. But she didn't win. And I'm trying to say, I think McGavin made a comment about this somewhere.
Yeah, he did.
What did it say?
Putri dominated in views and follower increase, but 80% of the views and followers are international fans, and they can't vote. And so therefore he was skeptical about her winning.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that a bit last week.
Yeah.
Is that international influence? And it didn't seem to neither of us thought it was going to be that big of a deal, but obviously it must have been.
It was. So
I think maybe she was too much of a front runner, and maybe the thing Hurricane had for him is he became the underdog that some people liked. Maybe they didn't like him the best, actually, but they're like, everybody else is going to vote for Putri or somebody else. We're going to give it to Hurricane because we like him. And then he ended up winning. But I think some people might just have thought, well, Putri is going to win. She doesn't need my vote. And I'm going to give it up to somebody else who's deserving.
Could have been what happened.
Yeah, I think could be a mix of that. And then plus you don't have the international voters.
Right.
Because when you look on Facebook, that's usually where I am because I'm old. I don't hang out on Instagram and stuff too much. But on Facebook, when you look at those videos, I mean, 80% to 90% of the comments are people that are not in North America making comments and liking her videos. So
that's probably true.
More of an international crowd.
Yeah.
All right.
Last act? No.
Second to last act.
Second to last. And I know this one was on your top 5, if not your, top 2? Number 2
my
or
top 1. This should have hands down, not even to me debatable, that this should have been the winner. Yeah. Somebody tell me I'm wrong.
Well, you're wrong. I don't think they should have won, but I could certainly see them being in the top 5, and I'm glad they were. The one thing that I thought was, man, that guy who's on the bottom, his back and neck, man, when he gets 10 years down the road, he's not going to be able to move. He's going to have rods in his back. But it's still impressive that anybody can do that.
I mean, I'm watching these guys, and every time I think they've done enough, it always seems to be halfway done, and they start doing something else cool. I mean, I was watching this. I said to the TV, I said, somebody just give these guys the trophy. I'm watching their performance. This is so amazing. Like I said last week, there's probably 3 people in the world that can do this. This is so good. Has Vegas written all over it. Good looking guys. I don't know who doesn't want to watch this, who's not entertained. You can put them in anything. You can put them in the movies. You can put these guys in a pro WWE wrestling. You can put them in circuses. You can do anything with these guys. You can have them background dancers for musicians. They could be doing things. You can do anything with these guys. Are so cool. They've got the look, they got the body, they got the moves. They're doing impossible things. And how people aren't just saying they win. Again, the only person that's close is Shadow Ace, who, again, is a crime he's not in the show because he's the only one I could see winning over them. Nobody else is doing something that is so incredibly cool, so incredibly unique. It's highway robbery, especially from a dog winning. A dog that puts coats on people is beating these guys.
Hey, you know, like I say, I'm not a dog guy, but once again, I voted for him. But I did not vote for this group on my on Tuesday evening. I still thought they were great, a great show, and even though they're still kind of doing the same thing every show, it's still worth watching. So
they do something different with it, though. I mean, everybody does. I mean, this is what we want to see. Plus, they did that thing where they put the pool in the middle. That's like so much cooler. And I see this the danger act. I mean, every time you watch, you can see somebody die and break their neck.
Right.
I mean, I'm getting all worked up here, and my throat's getting all dry, and trying not to yell that all this stuff because I can't believe if you put this and say, look, hardly anybody in the world can do this. And these dudes are going to walk up ladders and the guy's on the guy's head. You can do anything with these people, or you can take them, or you can take act number 2. What is it? It's a dog. What's the dog do? He pushes a chair in and he puts a coat on a guy. People are like, give me the dog. Come on. I'm like, they're crazy. It's crazy. Anybody is picking the dog. And they're like, yeah, but the dog takes direction well. I'm like, this dude's standing on another guy's head and can break his neck, and they're climbing ladders. The dog can't even do that. Most of the things these guys are doing is they try to get dogs to do these tricks and to climb on these things. These guys are doing it. I don't know. It's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy that America would vote anybody in this finale over the brothers to win the show.
Well, according to McGavin, there's somebody else who can do it, but the Ramadhami brothers do it best.
Yeah. So I haven't seen the other guys on Britain's Got Talent, Gavin, and I don't doubt that there's a couple other people in the world that do it, but I say it can't be that many. I mean, I'm saying literally like 10. There can't be a lot of people that are doing these things, that are walking upstairs and these things.
Don't try this at home.
It's ridiculous, man.
Well, it is more dangerous and more work than a dog act. I give that to you. But the dog act was still cute, and I hate to say that, but it was. All right, Murmuration, and just so you know, this is Sadek Waff's numbers, because Murmuration doesn't, at least that I could find, they don't seem to have really a big presence under that name. And this is the guy that I've said in the past, I believe he appears to already be a millionaire, so it's like, man, he better not win, because that would be another one of those, here, I'll put another $1 million in the bank, and then I'll continue to pay all my performers minimum wage as I get richer. So, but not that it wasn't a cool act. I'm just saying I didn't want him to win. So I guess I was biased.
So you're biased against the conductor.
Yes.
But what do you think about the act?
Well, it was pretty cool looking, because you really haven't. It actually takes some imagination to put an act like this together. And he probably dreams about this stuff at night. It's like, well, what can I do? How can I move the arms? What colors do they need to be? And because you're limited to the way that a body moves, and the people have to be in a certain position. And so I'm thinking that this actually takes a lot of work to put such a show together. And he probably has to be up above them, like in a man lift, watching them and say, no, let's not do that. Let's try this position and see what that looks like.
I really liked this act. It was my number 4 of the night. It was my 4th favorite. I've been a Murmuration fan all the way through. I never thought they should win, but they were always one of my favorites. I mean, they're definitely a top 10 of the season for me. One thing that did kind of throw me, I think Howie said this, and I was kind of distracted by it, kind of stupidly distracted, I suppose, but I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, was there always 2 conductors? And I remember Howie said something about 2 conductors too, because when I was watching the performance, I was like, why are there 2 people up there? And then I was like, where all their performances were there 2 people up there? And I couldn't remember.
No. So I think the other guys, I think they're brothers. And maybe someone can correct me, but I think they're related. But Sadek or however you say his name is the one behind it all.
Now, do you like these acts where they do? The magicians do this a lot. The dancers do this a lot. These things where they put inspirational sayings and things at the end, like "We are all one," or "Unity for all," or "One love," or whatever. Do you like that at the end of acts?
I don't really care about the words. What I'm interested in, is the movements and what they had to do in order to put that together.
Yeah,
that's impressive to me. I don't care what the words are. It could be gibberish.
Yeah, that's the way I am too. I'm still looking at the art and the entertainment of it.
Yeah.
But I don't care about the actual message.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually hated at the end when people, I'm just trying to watch you dance. And then at the end, it's just like,
here's a sign.
Love one another. I'm like, okay. That's not why I watched this, but okay. Or it's like unity for everybody. Like, okay.
Yeah, they could have had a dancer that just was carrying a sign and walked out with the same thing.
Yeah, that could have been the same for me. Because what I think is cool is like how you're saying it again. But like you said, it could say anything. At the end of Murmuration, it could have just said, "Yellow is my favorite color," and I would have cheered the same.
Right.
I mean, if we can spell that out, that's the same as saying "We are all one" or something. I don't care.
Yeah, me neither.
And I think it's just a little pretentious when people do it.
Yeah, I suppose it was important
pandering for votes.
Well, maybe it got up some additional votes, but obviously not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah.
So here's something that I was thinking. We talked about this last week when Airborne division performed. And we were talking about how Howie isn't even American.
Right.
And then I was thinking when I was watching this week, Simon kept saying, I'm so proud of this final is that we have all this international representation on the show, right?
Right.
And then I was thinking, none of the judges are American. Howie is Canadian. Heidi is German.
Right.
Sofia is Colombian. And Simon is British. It's America's Got Talent. We have no American judge, and we have almost no American acts in the finals.
They're taking over.
Well, we should change the name of the show. Right? Because
AGT, World's Got Talent.
Well, yeah, because they've really had those before. Of like you take the winners of these shows and have like an international competition.
Right.
But that was the whole point of Britain's Got Talent and Australia's Got Talent. And you have people of these countries. That's why when they come here, we go, oh, they've been on these other ones because they're usually from your country.
Right.
They need to have everybody stick to their countries like in Olympics, and then just have like a big one that's kind of everybody. I'm not an expert on this because I'm not a European, so I could be getting this all wrong. So if anybody is listening from Europe, let me know. But isn't there a show called Song Vision or Eurovision or something like that? I can't remember exactly what it's called. I'm sure I'm butchering this because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyway, they have a competition, and it's kind of like American Idol. And they get all the winners from the show. Eurovision, yeah, that's what it's called. Eurovision, and they have all these different winners from all the versions of the show everywhere. So they have. I'm looking just online. They have the winner, like the one came from Sweden. You have one. Third place was Israel. Fourth place was Italy. But everybody watches because everybody's winner goes to kind of one final thing, all of Europe.
I can see that.
That's what I'd like. I mean, AGT would be cool if you took all the AGT franchise and everybody stayed in their countries to have kind of like an Olympics of like talent winners.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and maybe it's just money. I mean, everything's money, but maybe AGT has just turned into the international one. Because I'm assuming, again, I haven't seen these other shows, but I'm assuming if you're watching like Philippines Got Talent or Thailand's Got Talent, there's not like a ton of Europeans on that show.
Well,
and Americans. Because everybody's into this one.
Well, Ryan Hayashi, I think it's Hayashi. He was a magician on this season, wasn't on there very long, and he didn't go on to the lives. But he lives in Germany. But his first time he appeared on a Got Talent franchise was in the UK. And so
where is he from?
Germany.
Okay.
He lives in Germany, even though his name isn't German, but I don't know why he lives there, but he must live there. That's where he works. So, yeah. But then he was brought over here. So I know that they're moving people around from Got Talent to Got Talent, whether it's Asia or Spain or Australia or whatever. And I just kind of have issues with that. The thing I'm also going to have issues with, and I don't even know how excited I am about the show, is the new show that they're going to try. I think they briefly talked about it if you didn't see that.
Yeah.
It's going to be like another The Voice, only with different acts.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, because they say it's going to start in January or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's going to be kind of like The Voice. People will come and then the judges will just draft them.
Yeah, they got teams, but the problem is, I think the artists get lost in those shows like they do in The Voice, because it's all about the team, not so much the artist.
Well, and it makes a little more sense on The Voice because you have people who sing, coaching people who sing. But if you got Howie and he's like, yeah, I've got a danger act on my team. What's he going to teach the guy how to swallow the sword better? I don't understand how this works on America's Got Talent. I mean, unless you're drafting people like Howie just has a team of comedians and Heidi has a team of models and Simon has a team of I don't know what. But I don't know what. Yeah, unless they're just drafting to win. But they're saying they're coaching them. That's how they presented it.
Yeah, and I don't see it. I mean, I think the producers probably do a better job.
Yeah, but we'll probably come back for it.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Yeah, we'll tell you how bad it is in real time.
That's right.
But hopefully it won't be, because it's better for all of us if it's not.
Yeah.
But we'll have to keep up with it on this show and kind of see what they're up to and whatnot on there. Hopefully it's not bad. I'm really hoping it's not, but I don't have high hopes. And then we got the biggest news on the finale. Oh, there's two things I want to mention before we go. Two things on the finale show. Number one, the breaking news of the return of Mel B.
Yeah.
What do you got in the chat? What do you guys think about the return of Mel B? I'm all for it. I've never truly got that used to Sofia. I'm not a huge fan of Sofia. I don't dislike her, but I like Mel B. I think she was one of the better judges.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think Mel B is pretty, or not Mel B, but Sofia is pretty, for lack of a better word, I was going to say her responses seem to be pretty canned anymore to the acts. And so I can't really buy any compliment that she gives. She's just not believable. So,
yeah, she just doesn't fit for me. So, I've got a list right here. I'm looking at it right now on NBC.com. Okay. There are 60 acts you can nominate for AGT Fantasy League. They have them on here. And there are a bunch of acts from AGT in the past. I'm going to put the link on here if anybody wants to see it. So next week, this is breaking news for us because we're talking live about this right now. I think next week or perhaps the week after, sometime, we should go through these and see what we want to see in a fantasy league. I don't know exactly how fantasy league's going to work, but there's a link, and so we can kind of give some thoughts about maybe some people.
So you're saying that they give you the list of people to choose from?
It says fantasy league work. Unlike original AGT, the fantasy league spinoff allows judges to compete against each other by having their own rosters. The judges will all choose from a pool of 40 acts until they have 10 perform on their roster. So they're letting America vote from 60 acts. So the top 40 of those, it sounds like, will be on the show for the judges to pick from, I think. So, but they're all past AGT acts. So, Shadow Ace, maybe back.
Sounds like some way that they're trying to keep the watchers engaged by voting and nominating them. So they want to keep them on their social media fingertips, I guess, as it were.
Shadow Ace is not on the list. How is that possible? I'm just looking at tons of the people from this season are 82nd Airborne. My gosh, if we get them again, I do not want to have to keep talking about them. This is crazy. But Putri is on there. Yeah, we got pretty much everybody from this championship show. Piff the Magic Dragon is on there. Actually, I love Piff. How is Piff on there? He already has a Vegas show and everything. He's already famous. I don't know. But anyway, I don't want to get too into that. I just want to bring up, we should look over that list and maybe have some little segment on that, or how we think things should go on there. I don't know. What do you think?
Well,
unless you think that's a horrible idea. You don't want to think about fantasy league.
I don't know if the show is going to go off too well. I mean, I guess stranger things have happened, but I don't have any high hopes for the idea there. I don't know if this is a Simon creation or an NBC creation where he says, "Hey, I got another job for you guys to do in your off time."
McGavin says Shadow Ace and Grace Good are on the app as acts you can nominate, but they aren't on that article right up. That's strange. They're not on the NBC article, but they're in the app to vote for.
Maybe they didn't have contracts.
Canine Stars and Marcine, I don't know how to say that last name, are on the article in place of Grace and Shadow Ace. Oh, so they must have replaced them.
Oh, it could be.
And Gavin says Mel B is back only for this Fantasy League spinoff. She won't be on the regular show. Yeah. I should have said that. That's what it sounded like. She was just back for the Fantasy League, but I wish she was back for good. And I'm one of the few that liked Howard on the show. I like Howard better than Simon. So
Howard Stern?
Yeah, I thought I don't like Simon on AGT. Old Simon, yeah, but the best lineup for me was Howard Stern, Howard, Mel B, and Heidi. I thought their and with Nick Cannon as host, I thought their years had the best rapport with each other.
No,
that was my best lineup for the judges.
Well, opinions are okay.
So one more thing I wanted to bring up about the actual finale show.
All right.
So end on a positive note. Here's what I liked most. In fact, the whole season, what I might have liked most. And I hate all the stupid things that they do generally. I hate stupid skits and the rest of this. But I loved the Ahren prank with Simon's voice because it didn't seem set up. It seemed like those were people's actual reactions, so it was funny.
Okay.
Did you like that segment? I thought it was hilarious. I never usually laugh at that stuff, but I thought it was so funny of Ahren calling saying, let's give when he told Terry we should donate our salaries to Ahren, and Terry just seemed confused. That was so funny to me. Was that not, you didn't like it?
It was okay. It was better than I suppose than some of the other clips that they showed.
I thought it was probably the best of the entire series. It was the funniest thing I saw the whole season.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I thought it was really funny. And then when Simon's like, this is Simon, and then like Simon was talking to himself, that was really funny.
Well, my upbeat note for the finale show was I really would have liked to have been there because I thought that would have been an exciting show to be at. Because I think the acts are all really good. Some better than others, but I thought it would have been really entertaining to be there. So that's my upbeat note. And so even in everything that I might have said, which may have been negative, I still would have loved to see all those people perform.
I thought the finale was all right. I thought half was really good. I thought mostly everybody else was at least pretty decent. One or two not so great. But the finale is what I expected.
Right.
I mean, I made no secret that there is multiple people I should have thought would be in the finals. If I would have picked the finals, probably only half of these acts would even be in there.
Yeah.
It was as good as it could have been. The wrong person won. America got it wrong. Despite what the judges say, America hardly ever gets it right. But it is what it is, and we keep watching. And I'm gonna watch I'm gonna watch AGT Fantasy League with you, and we're gonna go through this. And probably the wrong person's gonna win. And
so even though the show is over, our show is not over.
Our show is not over. We're still gonna be here.
Oh, so
we're
next
gonna
week,
be pushing along.
As a matter of fact, we have Ray Wold, the fireman, with his mother, is going to be on our podcast.
So he was the danger act, right? For everybody out there, he was the danger act when he brought on his 90-year-old mother or whatever, and they set each other on fire.
Right. And I chatted with him on the phone yesterday, I think it was. And he was telling me some stuff that I want to make sure we get on our show. I thought was really interesting of what he does and what it was like being on the show. So I'm pretty excited for that. This Chris Wojtowicz, he was somebody who was who auditioned for season 18 but was not televised. So I'm not sure what he does, but we'll see what he does. He agreed to come on the show next week, so that's our lineup for next week.
All right, awesome.
We interview these two people.
Awesome. All right. Well, Miles, do we got anything else for this week? Do we got any final words?
Well, yeah, audition for America's Got Talent. I was didn't get the ad or the app or picture put up yet for it, but to tell everybody to go ahead and audition so that we can talk about you and we can laugh with you for the show. And I'm still going to audition. I just haven't done it yet, but I will be auditioning for this season, and maybe I'll get lucky and I'll be on it next year.
Yeah, and then I'll be able to interview you.
That's right. It'll be cool. But then they'll probably tell me, well, you can't do your podcast while you're or during the season. Well, then I'll have somebody else do it.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward if you get on the show and I can't even interview you. You're like, AGT won't let me talk to you anymore. Oh.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, and who knows? Maybe I'll never get on, but whatever. Still try. Don't give up.
So, well, all right, everybody. Join us next week, as Miles said, where we will have Ray Wold, W-O-R-D, W-O-L-D, Ray Wold. We're going to have him with us. He is the Danger Act. You saw him this season. And when you join us, you can type your questions for him in the comments there, and maybe he will talk back to you and not just us. And you can join us every Thursday night, including next Thursday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central, and 9 o'clock Eastern. Because we talk about everything that has to do with AGT and anything else that we might find interesting at the moment either.
Right.
And if you really like us, we always ask at the end of every show, you don't got to, but if you really like us, give us a like wherever you're watching this video, probably on YouTube. Just search The Miles Revolution on YouTube. Look up Two Freaks Doing a Show on that channel. You're going to find us. You can find us on Facebook also. You can find us on Twitter. You can find me personally on Twitter right here. But bottom line, just search The Miles Revolution wherever you are and like it. Like the videos. It helps us a real lot. And we will love you forever if you do it. But we already like all of you that hang out with us every Thursday night. Make comments in the chat. Like our videos. Interact with us. Once you're on the show and you've interacted with us, you're a friend of the show. So we love you for it. And with that, I am Mixlam. He is The Miles Revolution. We are Two Freaks Doing a Show. And we will see you next